Let's talk about denaturalization. That is a topic that has been coming up recently, especially after Trump made the comment about looking into potentially deporting Elon Musk. Denaturalization can absolutely happen, but it is also very rare. The government can pursue denaturalization of somebody, and the burden of proof on the government is they have to prove by clear, unequivocal, and convincing evidence that the citizenship was either illegally procured or it was procured by concealment of a material fact or willful misrepresentation. An example of this would be, let's say that somebody applied for citizenship, but they had some sort of criminal history that would have actually affected their ability to become a citizen. They didn't disclose it. For whatever reason, USCIS never found out about it, and they gave the person citizenship. In that scenario, that person could later be denaturalized for hiding a fact or material fact that would have actually made them ineligible for citizenship. On June 11th, the DOJ released a memo, and in part of that memo, it talked about how they are going to prioritize denaturalization of certain individuals. Now, if you are naturalized citizens, don't start freaking out immediately and thinking that the government is going to pursue denaturalization of every single naturalized citizen. And remember that the burden that the government has to prove to denaturalize somebody is actually pretty high. It's just below the burden of proof for criminal cases. So for criminal cases, the government has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the person committed the crime. And for denaturalization of somebody, that burden is just below that burden for criminal cases. Typically, when the government pursues denaturalization of somebody, they are going to try to prove that prior to the person naturalizing, that person concealed a major fact about either their criminal history or immigration history or even their identity to prove that that person lied in order to get citizenship. On the green card and naturalization applications, there's a ton of yes/no questions. And I remember asking an officer a while back saying, hey, do people actually say yes to any of these questions? And, he chuckled and was like, no, they typically don't. But the reason why they ask those questions is because if it is later found out that the person actually did lie and say no when they should have said yes, that is another piece of evidence that they can use against the person. Another thing I want to mention is that even if the government mistakenly issued a green card to somebody or gave them citizenship or gave them a US visa and they were not supposed to and it was by mistake, even though it was the government's fault, they can take those things away from you. Generally speaking, for most naturalized US citizens, you should not be losing sleep over this. The burden on the government is very high, as I had mentioned, to denaturalize somebody.